University gets a pair of second period goals from J.D. Clemens and records a 3-1 win over Lake Catholic on Wednesday night, and another renewal of the News-Herald coverage area's quintessential high school hockey rivalry. Over the last 17 years, probably not the worst U.S. Lake game I've seen, but certainly not in the top 15. Let's put it that way. This one, to be perfectly honest, was just kind of, using the technical term, bleh. It was just kind of there. I suppose you have to look at it from a glass half full, glass half empty kind of deal for both sides. Starting with U.S., glass half full, you get 2 more points in GLHL play. You're solidifying your seeding for the Cleveland Cup. You're right there behind Ignatius, right there ahead of Eds in league play. You've had your moments. You were able to find a way on this occasion to win, another way of finding a win in a year in which you found several different ways to win. And you can use that experience, and it will serve you well when you get into February and March. Those experiences will work for you. And on this occasion, it wasn't the sharpest night that the Preppers have ever had on the ice, but they were able to get a win out of it, and sometimes you have to do that, and maybe down the road that's an experience that will pay dividends for them when they truly need it. Glass half empty, it was just a flat performance. I expect a little bit more out of U.S., and it just wasn't there. The breakouts weren't great. They were slow through the neutral zone, a little bit too much individual puck handling for my liking. It was just kind of flat as a whole body of work for 3 periods. There were flashes, but just not for the stretches that you would expect for U.S. Obviously, a lot of turnover there in the offensive zone. When you lose guys like Ryan Gorbett and Robbie Angolia, there is inevitable transition period. And as we always talk about over the years with hockey, line chemistry is such a big deal, and U.S. is still a work in progress in that regard. In the last few weeks, they put together a line with J.D. Clemens, Ethan Whetstone, and Tommy Nook, and I think the potential is there for them to be really good. Andre thinks they could be the best line in Cleveland if they really put it together, and it's 3 good parts put together. They just need to figure out the process of working it around and making sure that you're maximizing all the pieces in that line. And I think you saw that there in the goal that made it 2-0 there early in the second period. A little 2-on-1 break. I love the unselfishness there by Tommy Nook. Defeated cross for JD, and JD does what JD does with a beautiful look there, short side, to make it a 2-0 game. He has such good puck handling, and I think being able to be in the offensive zone with guys like Gorbett and Angolia over the last couple of years, now as a senior, now as the guy, that's something that will really help JD, and he's obviously had a great year here so far with 27 goals now on the season. I like the potential of Whetstone. It looks like a good young player who's come in for his first year at U.S. and has thrived in that role on that line with JD and Tommy, 2 veteran guys here for the Preppers. And Tommy can play that role of being a power forward, an enforcer. Obviously, you don't want to have too many penalties in that situation, but he can be that kind of guy who can be at the top of a forecheck and can really cause some problems and make things a little easier with keeping possession there in your offensive zone. So you put all 3 of those pieces together. If they can get that tight and figure it out, they're going to be just fine. I'd like to see a little bit more from that second and third line play, though. Just judging by this particular game, I didn't like the production there. I'm sure that will come along as the chemistry comes along there too, but they've definitely got some work to do. But again, U.S. has had some really nice stretches of play here this year. I liked a lot of what they did there in December. The losses that they've had have been competitive losses. They're hanging around with good teams. This is going to be a team that, once again, is going to get deep into February and into March as well. They just have got to figure it out and put it together. But if you're 16-7-1 and is work in progress, there's some positives there to be sure. With Lake Catholic, glass half full, they hung around. I mean, it was a 3-0 game, a little sloppy, but I mean, you're coming off it's the second night of a back-to-back with Ignatius and U.S. I mean, my Lord, I mean, that's no joke. The schedule maker there did not do the Cougars any favors there, but to Lake's credit, they were able to hang around, limit the shots to a certain degree. I had U.S. for 23 shots in this game, but Lake was only able to get 10. They weren't able to keep possession there in the offensive zone as much as I'm sure they would have liked. There were some flashes of breakouts here and there, and anticipating nicely, creating some turnovers here and there, running a nice little chippy forecheck to try to create some disruption there at the top of the offensive zone. There were some things there to build off of, but obviously they need to get the wins to go along with it, and that's not coming right now, but hopefully this experience they'll be able to get it put together down the road when it matters for the Cleveland Cup and the Kent District. So U.S. didn't look great. It was kind of flat, but they were able to figure it out and get a win. Lake has some work to do, and hopefully they're able to put it together here when it matters. But a 3-1 win for U.S. out of an interesting evening at Mentor Civic Arena.